We have started with the Christmas decorations. Check it out. This is, what is this behind us?
That's my Misfit Christmas tree.
Misfit Christmas tree?
The Island of Misfit Toys.
And that's from the Rudolph, the movie or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that goes in my office because this is where it's always gone. And so that's one thing I just kind of have to accept it.
You're just going to have to live with it.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though I'm not like a particularly huge fan of the whole
tough
Rudolph. I'm just saying I've accepted it, okay? But seriously, nothing says Christmas time, nothing says the holidays like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's your shirt?
Yeah.
She's got 8,000 Christmas t-shirts.
I do not have 8,000 Christmas t-shirts. What's happening, guys? It's Wednesday, so it's Boss Up and List Day. I'm Katie. This is Vikki, a.k.a. Victoria, a.k.a. LV Pink Panther, a.k.a. my fiance. But yeah, Boss Up and List Day. It's our weekly, all-day virtual listing party that we do in the Boss Facebook group. So if you're not in it, you should be. Right?
You should be.
Right? Yeah, yeah. What's happening, everybody?
There's lots of chit-chat going on there.
Yeah, I do want to say, Lorna.
All the ladies. I don't see any gentlemen in there right now.
Poor little Lorna has been like ridiculously sick for
day
9, 10
day
days?
11.
Day 11?
Day 11. Yes.
She finally went to the doctor and has ear infections in both ears, sinus infection. She's pretty much at death's door, and so she finally went to the doctor and got some antibiotics.
Yep, Allison's got my favorite quote from the movie. I want to be a dentist.
Seriously, though, it's like, that's one of the things with doing this kind of work. It's like, you can't call in for a sick day. So basically, Lauren has been like at death's door, in bed all day, every day, except for the fact that she's got to ship stuff out. So it's like, yeah, you don't really get to just not do that. You still
have a puppy that is huge and like is not a lap dog and wants attention. And
yeah. I think she had like 30 items to ship out on Monday. And it's like, oh man, that is
Jen,
rough.
you should just know better. She said she spit out her coffee. Nothing says Christmas like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Seriously, you just know better. Just not to put liquid in your mouth before Katie is going to talk. I see Lisa Hildreth in the chat. I haven't seen her in a bit. I haven't seen her in a minute, as the kids say. Allison, I'm catching up with the lingo.
Yeah.
She just bought a storage unit.
Oh.
And like big time, like they do on the TV show. She said she's got 3 months of inventory in there, which is awesome.
Nice. Yeah, seriously. So, I saw yesterday in the group, one of the guys in the boss group, he posted he just did like a big bulk buy. I think he bought like 500 some items. And close to like 600 items
for under $3.
Yeah, this is Derek Wagers in the Boss Facebook group, and so he posted like a bunch of pictures. And it's funny because when I saw it, it had been up for like 3 hours, and he'd gotten like 3 likes, and I'm like, because I think a lot of the people in the Boss group aren't like big streetwear people.
No, but every single thing he posted was something that you would buy. I would buy, and because I had seen,
So Derek he just recently joined the Boss Facebook group, but I've enjoyed following his stuff for a while because he does streetwear stuff. He's in like a couple of streetwear groups that I'm in as well. And anyway, he posted like this bunch of pictures. He bought like almost 600 pieces for like $1,500. Insane. I'm like super jealous. And so then of course I had to go, because he like made me feel inadequate. I had to go over to like Thrift Central, which is one of the Facebook groups, and I'm looking through there. It's a really great group to be in if you, for one thing, if you want to learn about like streetwear, because you can kind of see, because it's not just, it's people who buy for themselves, but they also like to trade and they like to sell. So you get a really good feel for what is popular, because somebody will post something, and if they get 0 attention, you kind of know like, that's not really that great. But if they go crazy over it, then you know what's kind of cool and what people are into. But anyway, I have done bulk buys in there before, and I went and looked, and there was a guy who was selling a bunch of single stitch vintage t-shirts. So I ended up buying like a whole 40 t-shirts from him. And then he was like, hey, I actually have this other bundle that somebody else was supposed to buy. And then it fell through. You
bought them already?
Yeah.
We were chit-chatting last night. I figured you would.
I'm going to close
so fast.
I'm going to close that deal, man.
How much did you pay for a shirt?
Hold on.
All right.
And so then he was like, hey, after I bought this other bundle, he was like, hey, I have this bundle that I was going to sell to somebody else. It fell through. Would you be interested? And I'm like, show me what you got, man. So we're like laying in bed, and Vicki's trying to read, and I'm like playing this video, and it's like because he sends me this video of him like basically going through all this stuff, and he's like, I'll give it to you for the same price as the other one, and this one has even better stuff in it, and it did. It had a Pendleton board shirt.
Oh, I saw the board shirt. Yeah.
So basically, I ended up paying $290 total for for 80 pieces, and so it's all like vintage T-shirts, some sweatshirts. Pendleton board shirt was in there. Lots of cool stuff.
Well, the Pendleton board shirt you can sell for 100 to 150 alone if it's a decent size. So there's half your money right there.
Exactly. So I was excited because, like I said, I was feeling a little inadequate. I was feeling super jealous of Derek's score. So I was like,
so she had to try and one up him, is what she's saying.
I wasn't trying to. No, that is not. Give me a break. He got literally over 500 pieces for $1,500, and they are insane. We're talking like, Polo Sport, Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, like all this great stuff.
Lisa's listing $20 for a storage unit, a Wii console, 25 games, PS1, PS2, new guitar, sword, motocross boots, 6 tubs of toys, 70 heavy metal CDs. Wow. Score. Good for you. I would end up with somebody's porn collection and a filthy mattress if I that's all I'd get.
Allison said, "That's what you do in bed." Ugh. Well, seriously, it was like a few minutes after 9 o'clock, and Vikki was like, "I just want to go to bed."
I was like, "I'm tired last night,"
and I'm like sitting there, I'm drinking a beer, and I'm like, "It's not even. It's like barely 9 o'clock," and she's like, "And this is Allison. This is how she enticed me to go to bed early." She's like, you can shop on your phone and find something good you want to buy. And I was like, shop? I don't want to shop. And I'm like, oh, you mean buy stuff to sell? You want so I can source? And I'm like, all right, I'll do that. So it was pretty exciting.
Tired.
And I closed the deal, man. I closed the deal. All right, we'll see what it looks like once it all comes. I'll show you guys what I got, like some of the best pieces out of that and stuff like that. Anyway, so why don't you tell us why you're tired? What did we do last night, and how did it go?
Oh, so we had our first Las Vegas boss group meetup. It's not really boss group, but obviously it's a lot of our people have found us through the boss group and stuff like that, and through the YouTube show. So yeah, we had our first Las Vegas meetup, our official We've probably had at least half a dozen smaller group meetups in the last 10 months or so, just lunches here and there, nothing regular, just more of like a chit chat session, getting to know some people. I think the biggest group we had was 11 or 12. And last night we had 16 people, and we had it in our home for the first group because it was a little bit difficult to find a good, cheap meeting place in Las Vegas, cheap or free, because preferably it's free, obviously, because I don't want to charge dues. I'm not using the meetup group page where you have to pay just to advertise, because nobody goes on there and you can't find anybody. So I want it to be free, and I don't want to charge dues and things like that. And a lot of meetup groups charge, $5 to $10 a month per person, which there's nothing wrong with, especially if they're paying for a facility. But I prefer people to be able to come in for free. And if we have to charge for a special speaker or some special event at some point in the future, then it's, we'll do that. But so we had 16 people last night, and we had it in our home. And I think that there were some people that were hesitant to come because it was in our home, and that's okay, because I don't know that I would want to go to a stranger's house.
It's a little weird.
But it was okay. So actually it's now going forward, it's going to be the last Tuesday of every month, and it is going to be held at the Nevada Blind Center.
Except for next month, because
that's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
So we're doing it on the 18th next month. And then every other month going forward will be the last Tuesday of the month, 6 o'clock. And it'll be at the Nevada Blind Center in Las Vegas. So
Nate Rick says, when's the next time I want to go? Nate, is Nate local? Do we know that?
I don't know.
Nate, are you local to the Las Vegas area? If you are, get in touch with us, and we'll get you in our Facebook group specifically for the local meetups. We just use it for scheduling and stuff like that. It's not like an active group, so you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. And it was eBay anonymous. Seriously. It's so funny because last night was kind of our meet and greet, and not everybody knew one another. And there were quite a few people that we've never met. And so, yeah, maybe we're not strangers, but you could be strangers if I've never met you. And a lot of people sign up in the group, and they, you see a name and they have like their cat as an avatar or something. Like, I didn't even know half the people that came, and I'm okay with that. I love that. So we stick around, and people, talked about how long they've been selling, what their name is, where they sell, and what if they have a niche and things like that. And it very much sounded like an eBay anonymous support group for it was like a 12-step meeting. It felt like, but it was a lot of fun. So, I did do a meetup group last year in the summer, and it lasted exactly 2 meetups. So, and that kind of imploded. So I walked away from that, and this is my new and improved version.
Round two
with Katie. So I'm real excited about it. So every month everybody has, you know, there are lots of area meetups. I highly encourage you to find one in your area if you do not belong to one. It's really great to meet people. Obviously, you're already wanting to be part of the eBay community or the reseller community, or you wouldn't be watching us on YouTube. You wouldn't be communicating with us in our Facebook groups and things like that. So if you can find a group of like-minded individuals near you, it's great. And if you can't find one, create one, because there is a need. There's a need everywhere. You may not find it if you live in a teeny tiny city or a town, you know, far away from a major metropolitan area. You may not have one specific to your town, but I'm sure you can find one within a couple of hours for you. And if it's once a month, it's worth making the drive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so Nate is local to Las Vegas. So Nate, reach out to us and we'll get you in that Facebook group so you know when meetings are coming up. Rosie's Closet, Crystal, yeah, she was sick. I want to go back to something that Dana said. Yeah, so we had like some little, you know, snacky snacks, you know, some cookies, stuff like that. It wasn't supposed to be like any kind of potluck, but Dorothy showed up. It's like she shows up with a giant tray, like seriously, a huge tray of homemade fried rice that she made herself. It was so good. And here's the thing, like I like Chinese food. You know, I have to be in the mood for it. But anytime we've ever gone to Chinese or like ordered in Chinese food, I just get white rice. or sticky rice. I generally am pretty like mediocre when it comes to fried rice. But seriously, I had 2 helpings. We have a little bit left over because we ate a lot of it last night. We have a little bit left over, but we will be eating that for lunch.
Honestly, it was really good. Now, we don't normally, I mean, meetups, you're not necessarily going to have a ton of food and whatnot. You know, going forward, it's going to be, I'm going to have like coffee and drinks and some pastries and whatever, and people can bring something if they want at the, you know, to the blind center. But, you know, it was really nice to have something to eat, especially because we did the meeting at 6 p.m. And I realize that that's not always the most convenient time because Las Vegas traffic is ridiculous, or anytime between 4 and 7. So it does take a long time to get places. So at least the next meetup is a little bit more centrally located. It's near downtown Las Vegas, so it's not too far from there. So I think it'll be a little bit more centrally located. We do kind of live way out, you know, south in Henderson. So it's only convenient for people on this side of the 15, the 215. But anyway, I definitely recommend you do one. Next, we're definitely going to have a theme or a topic every single month. This month being the first one, it really was just a meet and greet type of thing. And we'll start each meeting with anybody that's new, and they can introduce themselves if they want to. And you know, because I'm sure we're going to have new people. And I think next month I can almost guarantee we'll probably have around 30 people.
But December's meeting, we're going to be talking about shipping and a lot about like cubic shipping and pirate.
We're going to get a little bit more in depth about the shipping because we are constantly getting questions, both in the Facebook group, through private messaging. Every time we do a video of any kind, people want to go over and over again about the shipping. And that's fine. I totally encourage it because our goal is to make sure that everybody is using all the resources available to get the best possible pricing on shipping. You want to keep the most amount of money in your pocket, period.
Hey, Nate, my email is in the description of this video, so you can go ahead and email me. So real quick, Jennifer, Buckeye Mom 82 wants to know if there's a place to look and see if your offer to watchers was actually sent. So that item that you're talking about, just go to the actual item page, go to that listing page, and you should see somewhere on there it says manage offers. And if you click on that, you'll be able to see all the offers that you sent, and you won't be able to see their names because it's anonymous, but it'll be like the first and last letter of their username with a little asterisk in the middle. And so, but you'll be able to see that they actually were sent. So you should be fine. All right. So what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about? Oh, Etsy.
What are we talking about today?
Every week we go, what are we going to talk about on Wednesday's show?
I'm telling you guys.
Wednesday's show is always business related.
Yeah. And so we have to, it's like, you know, we don't have, when it comes to like our Sunday show, we don't have to come up with a topic because if we're just doing a live haul and showing where our solds are. Friday show, it's like we do whatever we want. So Wednesday is like the one day that we actually have to come up with a topic. So I've said this before, but seriously, guys, if there's something that you want us to get more in depth into and like really talk about and cover, let us know because we're always looking for ideas for topics. But we decided to do Etsy this week because I've seen a couple of people post about working on Etsy. I know Dana just got her store up and running. We've been focusing on it a lot, and so it just seemed like a good time to kind of like talk
because
more
we are
about that.
absolutely, eBay is our number one platform, both of us. There's no question. It is, always has been, and hopefully, God willing, always will be, unless something new and fantastic comes out in the next several years. But it's what we love and what we like to do and what we know and feel like we've mastered at this point, as much as anyone can master the platform. But we are definitely branching out into other platforms. Right now it's just Etsy for the two of us, and we wanted to talk about it more. I've always been real hesitant to do it. I've technically had an Etsy store for like, I don't know, almost 3 years, 2.5 years. I didn't really get into it until just the past couple of months, and it was actually following Katie's lead. So I'm about 2 months behind Katie as far as you know, getting stuff on the platform and trying to work around it and see what's going on.
I mean, I started back in I think it was the beginning of 2017 is when I started doing Etsy, and I was just cross posting, you know, any vintage clothing I had on there. And the thing is, what happened is, you know, I did it for a little while, but I was like really being kind of a little too particular about my pictures. And so like my main photo on Etsy, I was actually going in, because I don't edit any of my pictures. I'm all about like having your photography set up to where you don't have to edit at all, because it just takes up extra time. But I was editing like my first photos on Etsy, and I realized that because it was taking longer, I was putting it off, and I'd be like, I do my listing on eBay, and then I'd be like, I could list on Etsy tomorrow. I basically did that to the point where I got up to maybe 100 listings, and then I just stopped listing completely on Etsy. And so for months and months and months, and that was beginning of 2017. Well, this summer, what happened is, you know, on eBay, all those kind of glitches happened. Sales were really super slow. There were a lot of issues and changes in the way they were doing things that really did affect my sales. And so, you know, I did my little bit of panicking, and then I just decided, you know what? I'm going to boss it up. I'm going to boss up here. And I decided I was going to put some time, put some real time, and commit to a second platform. And so that's what I did with Etsy. And so I've been sticking with it, and every single day, just like with eBay, every day I try to list at least a couple things on Etsy and cross post stuff. And I'm telling you, it's been paying off for me big time.
I'm not listing every day. And to be fair, you know, to give credit where credit's due, Dana is the one that does my cross posting to Etsy. So it's not every day, and it's about 50 items a week. It's been around 50 items a week. So, you know, I have right there, I have about 550 items on Etsy, and I've been, you know, doing it now for, I don't know, 4 months or so. And then you've been doing it for a good 6 months, I would say.
Probably about 6 months.
Solidly.
And you know what? Listen, first of all, let me say I would say we're close to, I wouldn't say we're necessarily experts at eBay, but we're pretty well versed at how eBay works. I feel like we have a really deep knowledge of like kind of what works on eBay, what doesn't work on eBay, how to use best practices. When it comes to Etsy, we're so. We're just kind of getting started.
Yeah, I'm really still winging it on a lot of things on Etsy.
Like I firmly believe, like with eBay, it's very important that you're active daily on that site. I don't know that the same is true for Etsy. I really don't. I don't know.
Well, you're on there every day, so I mean, that may help with your sales. I really don't know. I don't know that Etsy is as much of a needy bitch.
Right. I don't know that. And I don't know if the daily part of it really matters. For me, the daily part is more just that because I'm doing it daily, I'm always adding more. And so I'm continuously growing. And so that's more the important part. Whereas before, because I kept putting it off, next thing I know, 8 months have gone by and I haven't listed a single thing. Right. So that's where that kind of comes in. But anyway, so let's just kind of start at the beginning, because I feel like whenever we talk about Etsy, there's always a handful of people who say, but I thought you could only sell things that you make on Etsy.
Yeah, and craft things and things like that. And that is the way it started.
That is the way it started. See,
Joan asked the question right there.
I mostly sell clothes. I thought Etsy was more for collectibles. There we go.
I swear she's not a plant.
Totally not. Okay, why don't you tell us, what can you sell on eBay?
So on Etsy,
or I'm sorry, on Etsy.
So basically, Etsy is, you can sell anything that is handmade. For sure, if you upcycle things and cut things apart and create different things with them, or crafting in any type of way. So handmade items are definitely sellable.
But it has to be your own handmade things.
Correct.
Or you have to pay another company or person to make them for you. Like you can't go, because I was looking at that, you can't like go and find at the thrift store something that was handmade yesterday by somebody else and sell it.
Correct. Yes. So handmade things. So if you're crafty, or if you have a crafty person that you have hired to make things for you, then that's your way to go. Craft supplies. If you do beading or knitting or what have you, and you want to sell the items that you need for that, wires and jewelry pieces and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing is vintage goods. Vintage goods meaning anything that's 20 years or older. They consider vintage 20 years and older. In the real world, vintage is 25 years, but people have started gearing toward 20 years. And I think that's because of Etsy. So vintage goods, meaning it could be anything that's 20 years old. It could be shoes. It could be a jacket. It could be a hat. It could be any type of clothing. It could be household items, decorations, Christmas items, kitchen things, all kinds of stuff. So anything that's 20 years or older.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is like every day I'm listing on eBay, and I do it simultaneously. So like if I've got my list of things, because like what I was saying before, like I would list on eBay, and then I'd be like, after I'm done getting my, what I think of as a fair amount listed on eBay today, then I'll do some Etsy. I don't do it that way anymore. Now it's like I've got my notebook of the stuff that I'm going to list, and I list something. And if it's something that's 20 years old or older, at the same time, I cross-post it to Etsy. And so everything that I list currently that's 20 years old or older, I'm listing on Etsy at the same time.
Right. And yeah, Chris Corduroy Fox, anything could be a craft supply. They're pretty broad with that. That is true. I mean, you could take magazines that are not 20 years old and list those for crafting. For scrapbooking, decoupage, whatever. You can list a lot of magazines or books or things like that. They don't necessarily have to be 20 years old if you're listing them as a crafting supply. There's lots of things like that.
Yeah.
Thinking outside the box, especially books. Books, older books that may not have any resale value whatsoever. I hate to do it because I'm one of those people that I really treasure vintage and antique books, and I hate that people rip them apart and turn them into anything. But the reality is that a lot of people will and do. Old sheet music, things like that. They really may not have a lot of value on their own, but when they're listed as crafting supplies for people that create things, people that make wreaths out of books and book pages, and they do upcycling of like the inside of drawers and things like that. And they'll use sheet music and they decoupage, it's, that kind of thing, fabric, all those types of things.
Emily's asking, do you think fabric is better on eBay or Etsy? Have you put any fabric on Etsy?
I have not put any fabric on Etsy. I don't sell a ton of fabric. Barbara would have a better idea of that. I think.
Oh yeah, Barbara says my fabric sells for more on Etsy and faster than eBay.
Yeah, see, I think that fabric is one of those categories that is hugely oversaturated on eBay, and they don't have enough subcategories. So I think fabric gets lost on eBay. I think, I've had some very expensive, wonderful fabric that has taken a very long time to sell, or hasn't sold at all, or is sold for pennies on eBay because it's so oversaturated that your very basic, inexpensive fabric that you can pick up at a Kmart fabric counter, people have there, and they have tons of it. So I think if you have anything, expensive, or with an actual, name that you're aware of, and your fabric content on the fabric, or great patterns and textures and things like that, I do think it would do better on Etsy. Yeah. I personally think so. And that's kind of what Barbara's saying.
And so Barbara has a lot more experience selling on Etsy. For me, because I only sell men's clothing, I don't really have any real concept of like what does better or what does worse on Etsy. Now I do feel like it does seem like streetwear does really well because I sell a lot of vintage. Obviously everything's vintage on there, but I've been selling like a lot of sweatshirts. I found that those are really selling pretty quickly. I sell some t-shirts, but not as much on Etsy. It seems like sweatshirts and jackets do really well.
Sweatshirts are your thing.
It's my thing. So it seems like it's going really, really well. Let's get into more. Okay, so before we get kind of more into our personal experiences, I also want to get into talking about like how they structure fees on Etsy, because it's a little bit, everybody's going to want to know like how the numbers come out in that. So what are the fees like on Etsy?
They're pretty simple. So you're not paying for a store subscription. You create a store, you open a store. It's really not that complicated. They do walk you through it step by step. So you're going to create a store. You're going to put a bank account on file. I think you have to have a credit card on file. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
You can set it up. I know this is the way Dana has it, and this is the way I have it. You can set it up so anytime you have to pay anything, you can have it come out of your PayPal, which I do, and then you can have a different account to have your payments deposited into. So mine goes right in my bank account.
Yeah, and actually mine is set up the same way.
And real quick, they do have something sort of like, it's not really a store subscription, but I can't remember what it's called, but sort of like a pro thing. As it is right now, I think it's like $10 a month. It doesn't really offer anything that's, to me, that's worth paying that extra for.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that you necessarily need to do. And if you don't have an Etsy store, you don't have an Etsy presence at all, I wouldn't suggest buying anything right off the bat as an expensive, monthly anything.
Like I said, it's not worth it at this point. It doesn't really offer you anything special.
So, I mean, basically, it's pretty easy. So when you list something, it is not a free listing, but it's real cheap. It's old eBay school fees. I mean, this is what it used to cost. It's 20 cents to list something for 4 months. So it's 5 cents a month. And you can leave it as a renewable listing, so it automatically renews, or you can have it so that it doesn't renew, and then you have to manually renew them. I'm at the point now where I have everything at automatic renewal because it's just easier that way. It's not like you need to go in and end things after 30 days or 60 days. It doesn't work the same way as eBay. So don't compare it to eBay. This is apples and oranges, okay? So there's a transaction fee. So when you sell something, you have a transaction fee, and that's 5% of your sale price plus your shipping. So where eBay is anywhere from 9% to 12%, depending on the category, it's your final value fee. Consider your transaction fee as like your final value fee. It means the same thing.
Now it used to be, I think like earlier this year, within this last year, and Barbara can like back us up on this, I think it used to be 3.5%. So people sellers on Etsy kind of freaked out because it went up to 5%. Now, if you're an eBay seller, you're like 5%, sweet.
I know, you're like, woohoo, it's 50% off.
Yeah, pretty much. So for us, it doesn't seem painful at all. Also, I think it was only within this last year that they started charging on the shipping. And I don't know if that has anything to do with like sellers abusing it or not, or if it's just because Etsy is kind of making a move towards, they're really encouraging free shipping.
It works the same way as eBay. eBay charges on your shipping as well. So basically, you've got a 5% final value fee on your total sale price and shipping. So, if you sell something for $100, your final, and it's free shipping, your final value fee is going to be $5. Now, if you sold something on eBay that was $100 free shipping, your final value fee is going to be anywhere from $9 to $12, depending on your category. Yeah. So right there, it's cheaper. So there's also a payment processing fee. They use the payment system that eBay is eventually going to be at within the next 2 years.
And it's what they're using in their the beta
program. They're using the payment system called Aiden. Basically, it's seamless. It's nothing that you ever need to worry about. Your buyers will need to have a credit card on file or Apple Pay or one of those things in order to buy from you. Just like buying on Target's website, Walmart's website, any website other than eBay, they have to have a credit card set up and they have an Etsy account. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It's seamless. You don't even see it. But basically, there is a payment processing fee, which is just like what PayPal charges. PayPal charges you 3% to receive a payment. This charges you 3% to receive a payment.
And this
plus a quarter.
Plus a quarter. I think PayPal is 30 cents. So every transaction you're paying 3% plus 30 cents. This one it's 33% plus 25 cents. So and when eBay switches over to their managed payments and what they're doing right now, it's a similar thing. They have their own fee. So basically, yeah, and I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm going to show you a screenshot of my store, and so I'm going to explain how the payment account works because they just recently changed this too. So I'm going to actually show you what it looks like because you can get a better idea of how it works.
Yeah, see, I occasionally talk and just don't roll my eyes. I promise. It's funny that you say that because I had several people mention last night during the meetup group. I'm someone that's I'm a big group talker. I've done a lot of public speaking. I've done a lot of group facilitating. And that's kind of where my strength lies. For Katie, it's like you wind her up before you turn on the YouTube show, and then she's like,
but I will say I also am fine speaking in front of a group. I mean, I come from a nonprofit background. My last job, I was executive director of a Habitat for Humanity affiliate. So I've done lots of public speaking. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that, like I was telling her, I'm like, the way that I am on this show when I get like really hyper and stuff, I'm like, man, if I was like that in person all the time, that would
You'd want to stab her in the eyes.
That would be so obnoxious. Like, you know, put on a little bit of a show. Like,
so she's a little bit more sedate.
I'm more subdued in person generally. Although I can get pretty silly, especially when I'm hanging out with my buddy Keith.
So we did get a people notice last night, and a couple people were like, "Wow, you're really the more talkative one."
Yeah.
Also, and then she was funny. She made me laugh because she was like, she's like, well, it's kind of your thing, the meetup group. Well, the meetup, it's our thing. It's something we're doing together. Just like, you know, YouTube started out as being Katie's thing, and now it's kind of our thing at this point, even though this is still her show. The meetup group thing was my idea in the way I've wanted to do one for 3 years, and it finally got together a little over a year and a half ago, and that imploded. And now we finally got this one going.
I also thought maybe you'd had to come to Jesus meeting with me because you're talking more in this thing. Anyway, well, and plus part of it is because we actually have like,
because this is like business stuff.
Yeah, we actually have like an outline of making sure we're covering everything. So
it's not like jokes about
like we're taking turns covering stuff. Yeah, Chris said that her husband said that I was quiet. Yeah, I'm definitely when it's like a small group setting and I'm getting to know people, I tend to be a little bit more quiet. So that's definitely true. All right, so that's the way the fee structure is set up. And I saw Karen asked something about what it costs to have a store. It doesn't cost anything. It's just you're paying for your listings, and then you're paying your transaction fees and your payment processing fees. And so that's basically how it works. So definitely cheaper than eBay for sure. And then also there's the payment account. So this is the way it works differently than eBay. So now with eBay, as you guys know, you have your final value fees, but you get charged those once a month. So basically, like throughout the month, whether you pay on the first or in the middle of the month, I pay in the middle of the month, you pay at the beginning of the month. Basically, for the whole month, you have that running total. And so, you know, depending on how much you've sold throughout the month, you could be paying anywhere from a few $100s to over $1,000 in your final.
Mine was $1,500.
Right. So that's,
you know, that comes out in 2 days. So yeah.
Right. So it's like you're having this awesome month, and then you get to when you pay and you're like, oh, I gotta pay $1,500, and it kind of hurts the wallet a little bit, right? And so some people
pay as they go.
Some people will go and manually pay down so they don't have that big bill at the end of the month. And I do that a little bit as well. But what Etsy does that I love, and I'm hoping that this is what's going to happen when eBay completely switches over to their managed payments. Etsy just recently switched over to this, where it's like basically it's almost like a running balance. And so what happens is every day, if you're in the black, you get a payout to your bank account. So as long as I'm in the black and I don't owe any money, they send money to my bank account. Then they do a running balance where, like, I list something for 20 cents, it takes 20 cents from that running balance. I sell something and there's a fee and it's $7, they take that $7 from the running balance. And when you go into the negative, you actually have what's called a payment threshold. And so for me right now, mine is like $300. Well, I'm never going to get to negative $300. Or if you hit the beginning of the month, then they'll take, if you're negative at all, they'll take that out. When you first start out, your payment threshold is much lower. I think Dana just started, so hers is like $25.
Mine was 50, I think, when I started, and it's like 100 now. Yeah. Either way, I've never had it hit. So
yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and it'll just show my dashboard, and you guys can see I'm super. Look at this. I'm up 3,286% year over year.
That's ridiculous. So this
is my 30 days.
30 days on Etsy. And this is amazing.
Yeah. And so this is like right now I have 648 active listings. I'm super stoked because we figured out our 60 days because we were looking at our 60 days on our eBay apps on our phones. And so I figured out my 60 days is about $4,000. So basically I've doubled. I'm up, that would be 200% over last month. So it's really grown a lot. So anyway,
yeah, you are cranking on Etsy. I am not. I'm doing. It's still worth me being there, and I'm doing well, but I'm not doing like this. I'm better on eBay than you are. You're better at Etsy than I am.
Well, I was saying before how how eBay definitely does a lot better, but I will say I have 650 listings here. I have like over 1,700 listings on eBay. I'm probably doing about 3 to 4 times the sales on eBay, but I have like almost triple the listings there. So I gotta say, my Etsy's catching up. Like, it's pretty impressive. I'm pretty stoked about it. But anyway, let me show you. So you go over here and you look at finances and you look at your payment account. And so right now, so they just sent, you can see right here, it says $102.72 sent to your bank account. So now I'm down to, I only have 20 cents that's a quote unquote available for deposit. But this is what my actual current balance is. So it's kind of like this ledger going on here. So current balance is $57.41 because I sold something overnight. But you can see how you see where they take away and they add. So right here, promoted listings, I got charged $13.79. So that came from my running balance. And so you have like this running balance. I'm going to show more recent activity. You can see the running balance. So I sold something for $150. So you can see this is the transaction fee. So that's that 5% taken off. And then you can also see this is
actually other way down.
Sorry, this is the transaction fee.
$750 is the transaction fee. $475 is the 3% payment processing fee plus a quarter.
Gotcha. So that's my payment. Okay, yeah. And then this would be my, what's this $2 share? That's a different one. Sorry, guys. I'm not trying to be confusing here. So this, we're just kind of learning this ourselves. So this is a transaction fee. This is the payment processing fee. And then when you ship it, this is the shipping fee, if that makes sense. And so it all comes off.
And you're using Pirate Ship to ship your items. You're not shipping directly from Etsy, which you can do if you want to. They take it off of your dollar amount.
Yeah, basically.
You can create a label there, but they don't have the same type of discounted rates. So I don't ever use Etsy.
So you can see here at this point, I was negative, and then they added this money in. So I'm in the black. And then I got a payout because I went into the next day in the black. And you can see the last time I actually paid anything was $1.40 on November 1st. So on December 1st, if I happen to be below like change, basically, that's what I'll pay on the 1st. But otherwise, so I love this running. I love the way they do it as like a running total, because it's like that way. I'm going to stop this. That way, it's like you're never like all of a sudden having to pay $600.
Right. So the money that you have that gets deposited every month, is every week or every day or however often you have your deposit scheduled, is your money. That's your profit. That's your profit on the sale. And yes, Chris, they are charging a fee on the ship, not on the shipping. On the shipping charge, not on the shipping cost.
So whatever, it's just like on eBay, where it's whatever they pay you, whether you're doing free shipping, because I do free shipping, but they still basically, yeah, it's like, it's based on what they pay you, shipping and the payment for the item.
Yeah. So if you do free shipping, you're not going to get charged that shipping fee.
Yeah. Well, it comes up as a shipping fee. It does come up as a shipping fee. So I think they determine that based on what they
determine your shipping to be.
I guess so. So
I don't really know.
See, we're not super experts at all in this, but that's basically how it kind of breaks down.
So here's the thing. When I'm selling things on Etsy, my prices are higher on Etsy. I don't run sales on Etsy. So I'm always running a sale on eBay, whether it's 15% off all the way up to 30% off, depending on what the item is or what the category is. So everything that goes on Etsy, and Dana has my formula for this, but everything that is cross-posted on Etsy, I increase the price by $10 and I'm not running sales. So when something sells on Etsy, and I'm not doing free shipping on every single thing. I'm only doing free shipping on clothing. So when stuff is cross-posted to Etsy, I am always making more money on the item on Etsy. First of all, the final value fee is lower, the sales price is higher, the shipping is being charged almost always. The thing about Etsy is that when someone is looking for something or looking through your store, there are not 9 billion others, because it is vintage or collectible. It is something that is unique. You're not going to find the exact same vintage item in 30 places on Etsy. So when someone's looking for something, you're going to find it.
And I think we get a lot more people coming in, like looking through our stores too. Like, especially for me, I think that, because I know when I go and look on Etsy, I'm more likely to look at people's stores, whereas on eBay, I tend to just look at listings for the most part.
That's true.
And so, but yes, Maui Delights, I do free shipping. I do free shipping on everything. I didn't used to, but I just decided, I saw Etsy was like posting stuff and talking about free shipping. And I'm like, okay, clearly they are making a push for that, and there's no reason why I can't do the same. I have it built into the cost. You know, it's the same as how I do it on eBay. Everything's for me is free shipping except for international sales, and so they do pay for their shipping.
I do have free shipping on clothing. That's the only thing I have free shipping on Etsy. And yes, you do international sales, and international sales are fantastic on Etsy.
Yeah.
I would say 50% of my sales on Etsy are international.
So you can, yes, and you can do international shipping on Etsy. I would say more often than not, I'm getting my labels through pirate ship.
Same.
First class stuff on Etsy, it's the same price. I'm not saving any money by going to pirate ship.
It's calculated shipping.
I'm not doing, they have the same discounts for first class.
International?
No, I'm talking about first class,
sorry.
First class. So first class domestic, if it's first class domestic, I just go ahead and buy my label through Etsy. There's no reason not to. But when it comes to like priority stuff, like padded flat rates, priority, it costs $7.10 on Etsy, but pirate ship, it's the same as eBay. So it's $6.90. So it's 20 cents cheaper. So we'll do it that way there. For international, I do it through pirate ship as well because it's simple export rate. And so it's really easy though. You just go and you do have to like plug in your tracking number. It doesn't automatically do it like it does with eBay.
Copy and paste.
But it's super easy.
Takes 2 minutes. You're not selling 50 items a day on Etsy and having to do them one at a time.
Yeah.
And if you are, good for you. You don't need to be watching us. But there's the other thing too. So we've got some questions there about shipping art. Now, I would say you may want to ask Laura Franzica in the group about that. She has packaged and shipped a few high dollar art pieces. And I know Katie has not. I have sold a couple, but they're not high dollar. And I've actually Frankenboxed everything I've ever sold. So, I mean, it's kind of like anything else. You're just going to, if it's a glass frame, I've sold lots of things in glass frames and packaged and shipped, and they've made it every time.
Yeah.
But if you want a tutorial or a better tip on how to package art, and especially a canvas, and if they're expensive, I think I would ask Laura. But they do sell boxes specifically to ship flat screen TVs, mirrors, and art boxes. They do sell them at U-Haul, pack and ship places, and I highly suggest going to find them either at U-Haul or at Home Depot. Home Depot does too. So mirror boxes make for great boxes for packaging and shipping. Instead of trying to Frankenbox something, and depending on how valuable it is, shrink wrapping a couple of pieces of plywood around it before you put it in that box would probably be the way I'd go if it's very expensive.
Yeah,
you're gonna add a lot of weight, but
right. Maui Delights just busted out a $5 super chat. What do you say to that? Super chat, she's super chatty.
My neck's covered, so you can't.
Thank you, Maui Delights. We really appreciate it. So Big Mac wants to know, can buyers make offers on Etsy? If not, can they message the seller to discuss price? Yeah, so they don't have a best offer thing set up, but I get messages all the time, somebody asking if I'll go lower. And the way I've done it, so when I very first started doing Etsy, I would actually go in and change the price. Now what I do is I actually go in and create a coupon. And so somebody says, hey, let's say that something's for $60, or hey, would you sell this to me for $50? I'll be like, yeah, and I'll go in and I'll create a coupon just for them that lasts for, I'll make it last like 2 days or something like that, a $10 off coupon. And I'll say, here, use this. And then that way they can go ahead and buy it from me for $10 cheaper. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I've gone in and changed the price the couple of times that people have asked. And I've changed the price and I've gone in and rechanged it 2 days later or whatever. And if someone buys it first for that, well then, you know.
Yeah. I found that, I like using the coupons because then I don't have to like mess with the price at all and worry about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the other thing that I've done this one time. I had somebody who wanted to buy, I've talked about this on the show before, but they actually wanted to buy a Harley Davidson t-shirt. It was an emblem 3D t-shirt, and I had it priced. It was like $250, and they were like, "I really want this t-shirt. I can't pay for it all now, but I can pay for it over in three payments. Basically, it'd take 2 months to do it." And they were like, "Can you do that?" So I had to go look up how to do that because it's basically almost like a layaway plan. And so what I learned how to do, and it totally worked. And I ended up getting all of my money for this. is you have to change it to where you'll accept other as a payment option. And so when they select other, they actually buy it, but they don't pay for it. And then you have to negotiate like pay through PayPal your payments. And so what I actually did was I invoiced them. I gave them 3 invoices. They paid for all of it. I sold this t-shirt for $250 and it was international. So I got even more for the shipping and everything. So that's like another thing you can do with Etsy.
I like the coupon idea. I hadn't thought to do that. I've been going in and changing the price, and I haven't had very many actually. Someone else said that you can, Chris said you can add your description to your open offers.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or on your store header. So that's interesting. I may do that. I don't put it in the description, but I might put it in my store header.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So the next thing we were going to talk about is, what do I have on my little list?
The other thing I'm going to tell you is that, and I found this, and I know that Katie has found this as well. As I said, I don't run sales in my Etsy store, and my prices are always higher, and I'm still selling things. So here's the thing that I have discovered, and I think that this is fairly sure across the board. Etsy customers or Etsy buyers and eBay buyers are 2 different animals. So if it were me and I were searching for something specific, and I think a lot of you would be the same way, I'm going to search everywhere for that thing to get the best price. I will have somebody pay $150 plus shipping on Etsy when the thing is on sale for $75 on eBay. They don't even look. And you find the same thing, right?
I do. I'm just looking. I just sold
just now?
Yeah, I just sold a vintage denim jacket on Etsy, and they paid $65.10, which tells me they might have used a coupon. Or why is it? Oh, it's a tax. Yeah, because it charged them taxes. I'm like, $65.10. What a weird amount. But this thing, they paid $60 for it, and I'm almost positive that it actually is selling for less on eBay. But usually the stuff that I'm selling it for less on eBay because of the discounts and stuff like that, or sales. Like the sweatshirt I sold, which I'll talk about on Sunday's show, I sold it for $150 on Etsy. It was on sale on eBay for $104.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I know, it's crazy. So I just don't think that they're the same buyers, and that's okay. I think people that shop at, I will say that the few things that I've purchased on Etsy are just things that are not available on eBay. eBay does generally have lower prices for the things that I shop for, but I don't buy a lot of used things.
Right.
So when I'm looking on Etsy, I am looking for different personalized or handmade items. So that's what I use it for, to shop. So I get that, especially around this time of the year.
Right. So that particular denim jacket that I sold just now on Etsy, I sold it for $60 on Etsy, and it's actually on sale right now for $55.99. So not like a huge difference, but then you calculate into that like the fees
best offer, yeah,
and stuff like that, lower fees, blah blah blah. So I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Is there, Big Mac asked, is there a search algorithm on Etsy that benefits seller items? If a seller is super active on Etsy, does their stuff go up to top of Etsy search?
Not entirely sure.
We don't really know yet. That's really it. I think that we just don't know exactly how the Etsy algorithm works. Not that we know exactly how eBay's does either. We just know that an active store is a happy store on eBay. And
we know that from experience.
And having daily activity works. So,
yeah. And so let's talk about promoted listings.
Yeah, promoted listings exist on Etsy.
Etsy has it, and
we've both been I've only been doing it for I started on the 4th. So 24 days I've been dabbling in promoted listings on Etsy.
She's a dabbler.
And you've been doing it for how long?
I've been doing it for a couple months now, maybe 2 months.
About 2 months, I think.
So promoted listings, if you guys do it on eBay, then you probably are more familiar with how it works on eBay. eBay, you set whatever your rate is, like how much you want to pay for your promoted listings. You don't pay unless you actually sell the item. I use trending rates. So I average probably about 8% that I'm paying in promoted listings. And again, it's only if something sells. It depends on whatever that rate was for that particular item. So you have like that kind of like, I guess, safe feeling of knowing like, well, I don't have to pay anything unless I actually sell it. So it's really awesome. Well, Etsy does it differently. They do it in a more traditional way. For anyone who's familiar with doing marketing, online marketing, you're actually paying for clicks. And so what that means is similar to eBay, if you have a promoted listing, it'll show up somewhere higher in the search and it'll say promoted, and you're getting more visibility that way. But you're only paying if somebody actually clicks on your item, but they don't have to buy it.
Right.
So if I have a promoted listing and somebody goes and clicks on it, I'm paying whatever it is that I've decided I'm going to pay per click. And so the way you set it up is you have a daily budget. So that means the maximum amount total you want to pay for promoted listings. And then you set up, you get to customize how much you want to actually pay per click. Mm-hmm. When I started with a $20.
Way too high.
Yeah, I started with a $20 a day budget and a 10% per click. And it was way too high. Like it was working.
Because it's going to get right up to your daily budget every day.
I was selling stuff, but I was probably paying, once I figured it out, it was coming out to like 30% I was paying on the items that were sold. And so I changed it down to, I cut it in half. So now I'm doing 5 cents per click. Mm-hmm. I'm still doing a $20 a day budget. I never use the full $20. It's usually anywhere between $10 and $15 that I end up spending. Like I said, I'm doing trending rates on eBay, which is about 8%. I'm probably closer to about 15% is what it comes down to when I do the math. It's probably about 15%, which sounds pretty high, but I will say for me, it's working. My sales are coming in. I'm paying lower fees, and I'm selling stuff on average for higher prices. So I would say I'm probably, when I look at eBay compared to Etsy, it's probably pretty close to even like what it's costing me to sell. So I'm okay with that personally. That works for me.
And I'm a little lower. So my sales, as you saw Katie's sales for the last 30 days, my sales on Etsy for the last 30 days are around $800. Nothing to sneeze at, but like not where I would like them to be. My 60 days is what, 2,000?
No. It was like a little over 1,000.
Oh, so my 60 days is a little over 1,000. Yeah.
So your sales have greatly increased in the last month on Etsy.
Correct. So, $700 or what, and it's good. I've had some good high dollar days and high dollar sales, and I'm happy with that. And I was budgeting a lot less. So I was budgeting $10 a day, 5 cents a click. And I found that that's a little too much for me, because out of that $770 I did in the last 30 days, $150 of that was in marketing. Mm-hmm. So for me, I feel that that's too high.
And she was going to turn it off. She was like, I'm just not going to do it anymore. And I was like, well, why don't you try doing 2 cents a click? Yeah,
I'm down to 2 cents a click and $5 a day, which I think is perfectly reasonable. And I will say, I've only been doing that for 2 days, so I don't have a lot of data to back this up, but I will say my number of clicks or interaction, it shows you a graph, has been exactly the same, whether it's 5 cents a click or 2 cents a click. So the number of people that it's getting out to is the same at this rate. I just, I have 550 items on Etsy. Katie has 650. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see. I mean, I have a lot of vintage. I have a lot more to go on there too. So, as does Katie. So,
one thing it tells me, I mean, this is just based on our very limited experience, but one thing it tells me is that the market for men's vintage streetwear is really strong on Etsy.
Where mine is not a niche at all on Etsy. So just like eBay, I sell everything. So, and I've always gravitated toward a lot of vintage items. So I have a wide variety of items that I can cross post to Etsy as well. Mm-hmm.
But it also tells me that, like, if I have the same volume on Etsy that I do on eBay, so eBay I have over 1,700 listings. Etsy I have 650. If I had 1,700 listings on Etsy, I'd be getting close to being able to bring in a full-time income just on Etsy. So I think that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. And so it's like having the two together for me has been great. Mm-hmm. Because one thing that I noticed is, like we were looking at our numbers yesterday. We're looking at our 60 days, because her 60 days on eBay is insane. She just crossed over $20,000 for 60 days, you guys. $20,000.
One person
for 60 days. Crazy. And I just passed over, I think the most I've ever been has been during fourth quarter. I think I've hit 19 before.
This is
right
my
now,
best fourth quarter ever so far. And I have to say, and previously my best fourth quarter was 2 years ago. And I think I hit $12,000 the month of December 2 years ago. And I will say that I was doing a huge amount of consignment. I had a huge inventory of consignment for someone. So that was only 50% of it was mine. So now this is all mine. I don't do consignment anymore. So,
well, and so we're looking at our 60 days and I'm just over 17,000 on eBay. But when you add in our Etsy numbers, it's so crazy because like I'm just over 17,000. And then I have at 60 days, I'm just over 4,000 on Etsy. So I'm about 21,000. And then when you add in your Etsy, you're about 21,000. She's ahead of me by a few $100s. Like it's not crazy. But on eBay, I have 1,700 listings. She has like 2,500. So she's like way ahead of me on eBay. So it makes sense that she would be bringing in more stuff. But I think it's kind of funny, even though we sell somewhat different things, it's like we're always kind of like neck and neck when it comes to sales. It's pretty crazy.
And I think if you were to consider us, yes, we are a couple and we both sell on eBay, but we operate our businesses independently. So I think if you were to put us together, those numbers are big. I think they're big. I mean, if you were to put through the, we're selling $20,000 a month.
Yeah, our 60 days is over $40,000. I think that's pretty awesome. We're killing it.
It's pretty good.
It's a lot of work though, you guys. Like I'm telling you, like we're working all the time. But
we are, but it's starting to pay off. Now, will this stay like this consistently? No, of course not. It's gonna go down come February, just like everybody else's does. It'll dip, but I
will say having a second platform that like at least supplements your income. It's like when you're having one of those days where one platform you're like, not doing so great, and then the other one, like she just had a sale. Was it day before yesterday? She sold something on, and this will be on our show on Sunday, so we won't talk about what it is.
We sold 2 items.
She sold an item on Etsy 2 days ago for $180, and it was an item that she has had on eBay and has listed and relisted and relisted for over 5 years because she brought it with her to Vegas when she moved 5.5 years ago.
Yeah, and I will say it is definitely my oldest item, and it is the only item I have that is that old. So
you don't want to have something sitting around for 5 years. If you have for 5,
but I have very, very little money invested in it, and it is a very, very specific antique item that I knew was going to have to wait for the right buyer. I used to sell them a lot more frequently because I would find them more frequently, but here, forget it. I would never find anything like that. So it did sit for a long time.
Yeah. I do want to say, we talked about this before, but when it comes to branching out to other platforms, I do want to say, like, be careful. Make sure that you have the time to take it on, because if you're going to, like I said, we dabbled in Etsy before and it didn't work out so well because you have to commit
we weren't committed to it.
You have to commit to it.
It was so sporadic.
And doing 6 different platforms, unless you have people working for you, you're not going to be able to commit enough time to 6 different platforms. So with us, because it's mainly just ourselves, like, Vikki does have Dana helping her some, but you need to be able to commit fully to whatever platform you decide to go on, or you're just not going to have any success.
Yeah. And some people say, would we have wanted to try Posh or whatnot? The thing about Posh is that I do think it's too needy. The whole sharing and liking and all that stuff of sharing your closet, other people's closets. I get it. Other people do it and they're doing well with it. I'm not knocking you if you want to do it and try it and you're doing well. Good for you. For me, I just know that I wouldn't do it. So that's not something I want to invest more time and energy in. The thing about, when someone creates an app that, and I know some people are working on it, that can actually list to several platforms at the same time without doing anything other than paying for that, then God, I will buy that in a moment. But right now it doesn't work for me. Posh, I think, would be too much time for the amount of effort or that I would see. And because I do sell so much vintage isn't really the platform for Posh. Posh is a little bit more on current clothing, and that's fine. I sell that too, but I don't think it's quite as much as what my vintage is.
Yeah.
I've never even been on Mercari, to be honest with you. I've never listed, I've never even looked at it.
Yeah.
At least Posh I've actually seen before. But it's just not my thing. So, whatever works for you, work it. Find the platform that works the best for you. I will say that I think that it's probably not the wisest thing to dedicate a lot of time, money, energy, and effort to a platform that has a very insignificant overall group of watchers or members that watch it. And I think that Mercari might be that platform. Depop, those type of little things that you're just not getting. I mean, Depop at least is a very specific audience for a specific type of products, but I think that, you know, as far as spending your time and energy, current fashion, Poshmark makes sense.
Yeah.
Vintage items, Etsy makes sense. Everything overall under every umbrella, eBay is still your best money for what you do. You know, people complain about fees going up, and they do. And honestly, I've been on the platform almost 20 years. My fees have quintupled. You know, it is what it is. But cost of doing business has increased. I've gotten better at what I source and what I sell and how much, you know, margin I have in my items over time. But eBay is still the largest platform available. There have been many, many, many platforms that have tried over the years for used stuff. Yes, there have been many, many platforms that have tried over the years to be eBay and have tried to take away a portion of eBay's market. And some have been successful, and Poshmark being one of them, Etsy being one of them. But in general, not a single one of the others has been able to do it. You know, people may remember Ruby Lane, and I think there was one called like Sunrise or Sun something that tried a few, you know, 15 years ago. There are several platforms that have tried, and they just haven't been able to do it. They don't have the marketing time or budget.
I think it's all about like balancing your time. And so if you, let's say you had multiple people working for you, you know, it would make sense to have somebody who's like, they're focused on Mercari, they're focused on Poshmark. You know, but if you're like us and you're just doing it on your own, you have to figure out, okay, what makes the most sense for the time. I've done Amazon before. It's not really my thing, but definitely, you know, Amazon is a worthy platform for somebody who's doing it on their own.
For multiples, for multiples,
it's just not my thing.
Items, sure, absolutely.
You know, so eBay, you know, is you know, the most sense for me to put like a, you know, full-time time into, commit to it. I make a good living on that. And then Etsy, you know, my whole thing was, you know, Etsy's great. It's great for my vintage stuff. But you know, for the number of listings and how many views I'm getting and how many sales I'm getting, it doesn't compare to eBay. However, at this point, I don't know, coming into fourth quarter and seeing my numbers where they're at now, I'm seeing that, you know, Etsy's right up there. It really is for what I'm selling, because of how the return I'm seeing on it. So it's definitely something I'm going to continue to put, to commit my time to. And it's going to be interesting to see what it's like when I get myself up there, if I can get over like 1,000 listings, let's say.
To see where you're going
and what happens with that, because man, I'm loving it.
I do think Etsy is very seller friendly. I think Etsy is just as easy, if not, if you understand eBay, you can understand Etsy. Let's put it that way.
There's slight differences.
There are differences, but if you've been able to figure out how to navigate eBay, you can figure out how to navigate Etsy. That's part of it. The other question I saw there was on the printer. Oh, Nate, Pirate Ship will work on any printer, regular printer, Dymo. I have, what do we have? Not a Dymo.
We have a Zebra
printer. A Zebra thermal printer. So yeah, they work.
Yeah, it does. And you know what, here, I'll show you guys really quick what doing a listing on Etsy looks like, just so you can see really quick.
And like while she's doing that, while she's pulling that up, I'm going to address Kara's question about thoughts on Bonanza. See, I've been on Bonanza. I don't really talk about it as a platform because there's no effort to it. It's just, I've been on Bonanza for 10 years. And all I've ever done was sync my eBay store to Bonanza once 10 years ago, and I've never done a damn thing with it since. And I have 3 to 5 sales a month that trickle in on Bonanza, and that's it. Nothing easy, nothing difficult at all. Does Pirate Ship import from Etsy? I don't.
No, but I'll show really, it does not, but I'll show really, really quick. So I'll answer that question first. So let me share my screen really quick. So when you are on Pirate Ship, if you hover over this ship right here, you can see where it says eBay import. So if I clicked on that, I'm not going to, so it's going to show a bunch of people's names and stuff. But if I clicked on that, then it automatically imports from eBay. Now Etsy, it does not do the same thing, but if you just click on this and hit single, that's what I'm on right here, create shipping label. It's super easy. If
you're the paste address one.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. If you're on this, you basically just hit paste address, and then I'm not going to show it again. I'm not going to show it in my Etsy account just because I don't want to show anybody's personal information. But basically, when you have an order on Etsy, you just copy that address. Takes like 2 seconds, and you come over here and you paste it, and it automatically populates the thing. It's super easy. And then when you're done, you just copy and paste the tracking number. It's not hard at all. You know, it'd be nice.
I think you can go into your settings, because someone else said their Etsy imports on Pirate Ship. I think you go into your settings and add your Etsy account. I think when you set this up, you weren't using Etsy.
Oh, maybe so.
And that people do that.
Yeah, and so maybe so. But either way, it's super simple.
JC, I agree. The younger kids know about Depop. They know about Posh. It's a different generation. But I will say that eBay is very, very much in touch with what those kids are looking for in their marketing, and especially in the last few months and going into the new year, their new marketing campaign is very much geared towards those kids.
Yeah.
Very much geared towards those kids and the millennials. So I will tell you that look for more marketing, because what they showed us at eBay Open is very much geared toward the younger generation that shops on their phone.
Yeah. So let me show really quick, just so you guys can get an idea. So this is just all my active listings you can see here. And so what I usually do is
I don't have like that much detail.
You can show it. I have it. You can click on this and you can say view stats.
Oh, okay. I don't have
and
that.
It'll take it. It'll take it off or whatever. Oh wait, that's shown for that specific item. Anyway, I don't.
There is a feedback forum on Etsy. I find that I think I only have 5 or 6 feedback on Etsy, and I've had 48 sales. So they give feedback even less frequently than eBay does. And you can offer returns. I offer returns. I don't do free returns. I've never had a return on Etsy.
Returns on Etsy, I've had it happen like once. It's basically, Etsy does not manage those for you. So if somebody contacts you and says they want to return it, you basically work it out with them, whether or not they're going to pay for return shipping or you're going to pay for it. Or
Etsy's a very hands-off company. Your store is your store. They don't really get involved in how you operate it.
Absolutely. Okay, so basically, like if I'm listing a jacket or I'm listing a t-shirt, I'll just go in and I'll go copy. This is the way I do it anyway. Somebody else might do it completely differently. I delete all the photos and then I upload my photos. I know Chris was saying that it always takes forever for photos to upload on hers. I'm not really sure what the issue is because I don't have that problem. And then I'll have 2 screens open. I'll have my eBay on the left and my Etsy on the right. And I just copy and paste my title in. I'm doing vintage stuff. So I have, if it happens to be from the 80s and not from the 90s, I'll go and switch that up. I change up my size, my color. This is just like the item specific, similar to eBay.
It's just a drop down.
And then the way I do my descriptions, I copy and paste that title. I do put my measurements in here, and then I have like a little blurb here for my international buyers. And then I have my own, this is, you can set up your own categories. So I do that. And then the big difference from eBay is that you actually have tags. Now this is optional, but it does help for the search. And so you have up to 13 tags you can do. And it just, little tags, what you think people might use to find your listing. So like I have 90s clothing here because I found that like you can look and see what people search to find your stuff. And 90s clothing is one of the #1 things people have searched. And so it's just really, really simple. And your price and then your shipping, you set up your own, this is kind of like shipping policies. You set up your own shipping policies and then you can go in and just pick the one that fits for it. So it's really simple. And then you publish it. Super, super easy. All right,
it's a little faster than once you get the hang of it, it's a little faster than an eBay listing.
It takes me like an extra minute or 2.
Does Etsy have lists similar to Vero? I'm assuming that they do, because Vero is something that is not specific to eBay. Vero is something that is national. So I assume they do. I haven't encountered anything because I just haven't sold anything that would be on a Vero list.
James's Closet, yes, Etsy they have an app, a seller app. They actually have a seller app and a buyer app, so it's really nice. You can list from it. I don't, but you can.
She has not listed the Greystone jacket yet.
No, I haven't even taken pictures of it yet because it's what I just got this week.
She just got it on Saturday.
Yeah, I won't be taking any pictures until after we get back from Phoenix. Yeah, so all right. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about? I mean, I do have, I don't know. We don't really need to get into that because it doesn't really work anyway. But so I think that's all we have for today. We just wanted to kind of like get in a little bit more in depth into like what's been going on with our Etsy. And now that we kind of like know a little bit more about it.
I mean, and now that Katie's been doing it for about 4 months, I think you can say you've been at least about 4 months now.
It's been more than 4. It's probably been more like 6 months.
Maybe 6.
Yeah.
Developing it for about 6 months. I've really only been doing it for about 3. I think I started a few months after you. I think that we can give you a little bit of an idea about our experience on it anyway. There are certainly people that do far better than us and both on eBay and on Etsy, but we're happy to share that part of our journey with you. I'm excited about having it as a second platform. I will say when I did it before, it was very lackluster and I had very few sales and I wasn't very excited by it. It was costing me more money to pay Dana to cross post than I was making. So then I was like, forget it. It's not worth it. I did it for several months and it didn't happen for me. But now I'm actually starting to see some results. So it's making more sense to pay, to have things cross posted.
Baby Jenna Marie says, I can never find First Class International on Etsy. Do they have it? They do. I will say, unfortunately, I can't help you with that because I set up my shipping kind of policies forever ago. I don't even remember how I set them up, but I know it charges the right amount. I might have it set up where it's like I have a flat amount that it charges depending on if it's going to like other countries or to Canada. I don't remember. I just know it charges the right amount when I do it.
Calculated somehow.
This is where I'm like, I'm not the expert, so I can't help you.
Yeah.
You might have to Google it.
Let's see, which browser do you use to list on Etsy? I use Chrome. I don't know what Katie uses Chrome too.
Yep, Chrome.
Because I don't ever use her computer. So I'm actually was just looking to see what browser she uses. It's the only thing I use is Chrome. I use Chrome. I have Microsoft Edge on that I never, ever use. So
anyway, I hope that this show was helpful because like I said, we're not experts on it. I just wanted to like kind of give more information. And basically what I would say is the same as like selling on eBay. Like you just got to get started. Just start doing it. Start playing around with it. Go through trial and error. It's like it's a learning process. But I would say it's definitely worth it, especially if you have a lot of vintage stuff. So
yeah, it's getting there for me. I mean, I'm definitely, if I can get up to $1,000 a month on Etsy, that'll be worth it for me.
Yeah, for sure.
And great if it's more than that. But yeah, if I could do $1,000 a month on Etsy, that's worth it for me as a second platform for sure.
I'm so used to selling, like I've been selling full-time on eBay for 3 years now. And so I'm so used to the only way money gets into my bank account is if I transfer it from PayPal to my bank account. And so now that I'm selling on Etsy and I'm like seeing some regular sales, it's like really, it's like exciting to me because I'm like, ooh, I have more money in my bank account.
I know, you feel like you're rich.
It just like shows up. It's silly.
So I realize that we're not the be all and end all experts on Etsy by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, at least if we can give you a general idea of how to get started and what the basics are, then maybe that'll help you dip your toe in yourself, because I think it's a good platform to try. And so I hope that helped a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, we are almost at, someone mentioned earlier, we are almost at 5,000 subscribers on YouTube.
I know we passed up 4,900 a couple days ago, and it's pretty exciting. So I think we're going to hit it within the next couple of weeks. I think we should hit
5,000 in the next couple of weeks. So I'm pretty excited about
Yay!
that.
I don't know what happens after that.
I don't know. Nothing until we hit 10,000, I suppose.
Nothing until we hit.
5,000 to 10,000.
I don't know. Whatever.
So our next show will be Friday
in
night,
Arizona.
In Arizona with T Money.
With T Money, Teresa Cox. We're going to be in Arizona, so it's going to be a No Pants Friday after dark show. Which
it will be, because we're not going to be there until later.
You know, those ones get extra wild, and we're going to have Teresa with us, so it should be super silly. Haven't figured out exactly what time, because we're not going to know.
We're going to kind of thrift on our way to Arizona, so it's going to take some time for us to figure out. We'll know by the middle of the day. We'll put a post up at some point and let you know what time we're going to be shooting.
It will be late. It's going to be like at least 6 o'clock Pacific time.
I was thinking it's probably going to be 7 or 8. Actually.
Yeah, so if not later, so just be on the lookout. We will keep you guys updated, but it should be a really fun show. And then also, if you are in the Phoenix area, we are going to be doing. I don't even know what you would call it. It's not a meetup. It's not a meet and greet. Basically,
a gathering.
We're going to pick a place somewhere in the area where we're going to go to have like drinks or whatever and hang out. And we're going to let people know. So if you are in the area and you want to hang out with us, because
we've had some people message us and say they live in the area, they'd want to get together. And it seems to be like every time we go anywhere not that I'm not trying to make us sound important, believe me, I'm not. But if we go somewhere and we go to another city or another state, people are always like, oh my God, I want to meet up with you. And we're not always going to be able to do that depending on why we're in the area, of course, but we do have time. So if you're around and you live in and around the Phoenix area, we're going to try to pick a restaurant just to go and hang out and maybe get a bite to eat. And if you're in the area and you want to come and hang out and
some beer,
we'd love to meet you in person.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, we're not doing a class, we're not doing a meetup, we're not doing anything like that. It's just a, hey, we're in town. So if you want to come and say hi, please do. So Saturday night, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, for sure. Susie,
and Atlanta, we will be in Utah at some point. Utah is one of my favorite states to thrift. So I like the Orem and Provo area for thrifting. So I'm pretty excited about getting back there at some point in the spring.
Sandra, I don't know about using Instagram stories because let me tell you, we don't
know how.
We're horrible. I mean, we've done some live videos before that get added to your Instagram stories. But we'll definitely be doing some videos. One of the most popular, hands down, the most popular video on our channel is the one that we did with Teresa when she was here and we went out and did retail arbitrage. So we'll probably do another one of those videos. So you'll see stuff. You'll definitely see stuff. But anyway, all right, we got to go. We got work to do. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And join the Boss Facebook group if you are not in that group because it's a cool group to be in. We're fun people.
It is cool. We got some fun peeps there.
Yeah. So get back
really helpful peeps.
Very helpful peeps. Peeps. Let's say peeps more.
Peeps.
Peeps.
Peep. Peep. Peep.
Get back to listing, guys, and boss up.